And we are live. Hey everyone. Welcome to a new stream today. It is Friday. It is my day. No, it's actually your day because today we're going to do feedback calls, so feedback session. So what are we going to do today? First, if you want to be part of this today, you have to join the Discord. And then you have the option to go to the live stream channel and you can either post one artwork of yours or you can share your portfolio or your current stack of work. And the premise here is when you choose option A, you basically just get a feedback on your art piece. And if you choose option B, you basically get a general feedback. And I kind of like try to help you with maybe letting you know what I would do if I would be you with your current skill level. And that's what it's all about today. So it's all about the communities, it's all about everyone who wants to improve, get better, try to become a professional and so on and so on. Since I do this as my almost full-time job now, I thought, yeah, why not making a session where kind of like everyone gets a little bit of help would be pretty cool. Hey Christian, how's it going? Welcome to the stream. Hey Boris, my friend, how are you doing? So we will, I would say, just make sure we wait until a few more people come in, and then we will start right away with the first people who already participate in the Discord. So we already have Arzen, we have Chris, and we have Boris. And anyone who wants to get a feedback today or kind of like be part of that, all you need to do is, and I can also just quickly show it here. Let me see, can I change this to Discord? Discord, yes, I can change this to Discord. Done. Visible. Yes, and there it is. So all you need to do, you go here on the Discord, so you have to click the link. Let me actually also quickly make a new link here for everyone that no one ask. Then I have to go on my own live stream sharing it there, I think. So put the link in here, it's in the chat. So you use the link if you're not part of the community. All you need to do, you go on the live stream channel, and then you have the option again, either A, you ask for one specific piece of work, so feedback on it, or B, you get a general feedback. And we have already Arzen with the first general feedback. Then we have Chris, and we have Boris with a number A specific feedback on the work. And yeah, if anyone wants that as well, just feel free to drop below, and I try to get through as much as possible people today. So, oh, I have to mute actually to mute this. Besides that, how was everyone's day so far? Are you folks ready and alive for today's session? Boris, how are you doing? So I have to mute actually So I see that the music is a bit quiet, so I will just put the music a bit louder. Please let me know if the music is too loud in any case. But I thought since I will talk a lot today, I just put in some music. It's not too boring for you folks. Okay. Arzen, are you here already? Arzen, if you're in the chat, please let me know. Otherwise, we move over to Chris. So let me just quickly move the Discord as well in here, so we can switch in between. Where is the Discord? Here's the Discord. Scale it a bit down. Choo-choo. There you go. Yes, Arzen, you're there. Okay, cool. So let's start with Arzen then. Again, anyone who wants to participate today also. Oh, I have to give you roles actually. Whoop, art friend. Anyone who wants to participate, please make sure to post in the live stream chat. Okay, let's start with Arzen, so we don't waste any time. Okay, sorry, I have to move a bit the things here to left and right because it's many different windows today. Okay, cool. So, as I read it correctly, Arzen, you are basically a freelance environment concept artist, and you basically try to get into the industry in the next 2 to 3 years, right? So your goal is basically to get certain quality jobs, I guess, or a certain specific type of. Wait, I have to make this smaller so everyone can see your cool work. Scale to transform, fit to scale, I think. Fit to screen. Ah, yeah, better. Fit to screen. I have to make this a bit smaller here. Yeah, that's better. Okay, is it alright if the pic I post is a sketch? Yes, if you want feedback on one specific thing, you can do that. It doesn't matter if it's a sketch or a painting. It also helps if you give a bit of context. What is the goal? What do you try to achieve, to reach, etc. Okay, Arzen, let me take a look. Okay. So it seems like you have definitely a base knowledge in how to present, which is good. Also, you have some sketches in here. Oh, I like this great temple. And you use photo bashing, which is also cool because I feel like photo bashing is a very useful skill, and we have the tendency in this industry at the moment that a lot of people do 3D, but I feel photo bashing is still a super powerful tool. Okay, housing design, street view. Temple, ancient Greek city inspired by Greek. So you basically just display a Greek city here. What I also like, Arzen, is that you kind of do historical work, because stuff like this, even like an office in the 70s, is stuff that is often well seen in productions, since we have to do a certain scene in a specific setting, a specific time frame. That is great. What I'm missing a bit is context. Oh, that looks very familiar. I 100%. I think about Feng Zhu when I see that. I love this. Love this. Also more futuristic things. But you know, all these projects here, I feel they're kind of like a bit not streamlined. So this would be my first big feedback for you. So even if I read medieval back and forth, and that's the title, I don't really get what it is about and what is it that you try to communicate here. So when we make a project, on also for my students in my program, for example, when we start with a project, we start with a problem, a world, basically, a world which has one problem. And then we try to solve these problems with designs. So for example, we have, this is your world, let's say, and the problem of this world is that it is kind of like maybe very polluted, right? So we have this shot here. So now what could be a possible solution for that? Well, maybe all the people in this world have to wear a mask because you can't go outside without having a mask on. So there is our opportunity to design. Now we can basically show this as context, but then we separately also can design masks for the people or the costumes for the people. So now with the example of being an environment concept artist, obviously you don't want to, maybe you don't want to do character concept stuff, which is fine. You can also translate this to buildings or props. So for example, these chimneys here, let's say these chimneys have a secondary function, not only for leaving all the dirt out, but also kind of like a filtration system. Or how is the general housing in a world where everything is polluted? So then it's really important that you communicate this idea, because that's what makes a concept designer. A concept designer is not an illustrator. A concept designer solves problems with design. So if you do stuff like this, great. You can take this technically and pick apart, right? So how are people transporting? Then we have to show, okay, what problem do we solve while designing our idea? Because if you work in a movie, if you work on games, often you solve problems, you're a problem solver. So you have to communicate the skill and tool that you can actually solve a problem, right? And on top of this, you want to show that you have also good design skills and aesthetic skills and a cool taste, so to speak. So this is basically what you were missing. It can be even simple stuff like this, trees, right? So let's say it is pollution, very polluted. So stuff like nature and trees become sacred to people. Then you could design something which looks maybe like a temple ritual, but it's actually more like a biotome where you have tons of plants and trees. And now people are, they kind of like, for them, trees are holy because they're kind of like the last nature on earth, right? And with this, you get more context, you get more interesting ideas. So you can go really deep. So what I would suggest is either take an old project here or start with a new project. So that was the idea. Great, even better. Take the old idea or the new idea. Start with a mind map, right? You start with your problem in the middle, where you say, okay, my problem is pollution in 2030. Okay, that's the main problem. And around this problem, you write out all your ideas you have for this environment. Okay, filtration system for roofs maybe, or a holy place with trees, right? And you can kind of like start to bounce back ideas back and forth, write it out, and then you pick only 3 really good ideas. Design out the ideas and then show the context. And this will increase the general quality of your portfolio much more. I would say you have sketching skills and you have also communication skills for light and environments. These are really not bad, but there is just a general context missing, right? So if you can already do that, then I would say you already improve your portfolio projects by at least 30% in general quality. And also it makes people more interesting. You know, I have seen people who don't have the most amazing painting skills or most amazing drawing skills working on projects because they're very good problem solvers and their communication skills are really good. All right. And I really love the colors and all this kind of like how you play with the light and everything. And this is also like concept stuff, which means it is not like rendered like an illustration. So I like that you really focus on that, but also overseeing all the work here, you get a little bit better and better. This was, I would say, pretty strong here. But again, we have this Greek city, and okay, that's a Greek city, but where's the spice? You know, you have to add a bit of spice here. So for example, we have this now, add an interesting spin to it. Maybe there is some demonic thing going on in these temples, and at night, creatures, cults, anything that's kind of like entertainment, right? Because what people often forget, the job we work on or work in is about entertainment. So your work shouldn't only showcase something, it should also entertain a bit. And not every job is 100% amazing entertainment. A lot of jobs are also just showcasing. But since you try to get a job, you want to kind of like make a little bit like the big wave, like, hey, I'm here, I'm Arzen, I do this and this and that, and I would like to work for you, and my ideas are cool, I can communicate, I can elaborate the design. It's really all about communication. And yeah, And that's what I would do. I would kind of like, if I would be you, I would focus on making projects with really great context and streamline it. Okay, start with the problem, streamline it with the context, with a great image at the end. And you don't need tons of paintings. You can have one really strong painting which brings everything together. Okay, Arsen, any question here? Any specific thing that I can still answer for you before I move on? Besides that, I would say I like that you have different views also for your paintings. You know, also different establishing shots and everything. Play different with the light. I would say just try to continue to work with stuff where you really either, I don't know if you also use 3D, because sometimes you have a little bit of inconsistency with your shadows. Also, like these shadow shapes here, for example, they look a little bit not so helpful for the composition because they very strong in terms of contrast to light, also very bluish. But this is stuff you can kind of like work while doing it. You know, you could also do some studies in between. But I would focus on really pushing projects. Maybe rework some of these projects and make sure that you have like really streamlined projects, at least 5 to 10. Okay, you don't have any questions? Then cool. All right. Thanks for sharing still, and we all wish you a lot of luck. And please everyone +1 for Arsen and claps. And thanks for participating and sharing and kind of like also open because this also needs courage to kind of like share your work and ask openly for feedback. So definitely I appreciate you joining. Okay. Now I have to move over here to... Now the next one is Chris, if I see that correctly. Chris, are you here? I think I also have to get a timer in. So let me switch to Discord. There you go. Ah, it's you, Christian. All right, Christian, I think you're German, probably, maybe. I'm just guessing. But I just do it in English. If that's fine for you. Yes, sweet, great, cool. So let's put on the timer and let's go. Okay. So Christian is a hobby artist at the moment. He wants to be a freelancer, want to make money with it. Character design, illustration is your favorite part. Okay, I see the illustration direction here. So you ice hockey fan, that's cool. Ah, he has a robo arm. Nice. That could be a cool idea, by the way, for an IP. Or just doing character designs with different ice hockey players who have kind of like reinforced artificial limbs and stuff. That could be really cool. So what I would suggest in general, first of all, I would say you should start with practicing perspective. That's really important. Like what is one of the most important drawing skills? Definitely perspective. Especially that we start to learn how to communicate form and objects in 3D space, because as an artist we are manipulators, right? We work on a 2D plane and we try to convince someone that's a 3-dimensional object or being or whatever we communicate there. So the most important thing, what I would suggest, is start to draw 3-dimensional forms every day from now on. Okay, Chris, that's your... I come back to you and I check that. So I want you to start to draw boxes, cubes, cylinders every day as a warm-up. 30 minutes to an hour. Fill pages full of these. right? Just fill pages to get warm and to get the feeling in of three-dimensional forms. And you know what? Let me also open maybe an example. Let me see if I get some of the Menti work here and then, that you get a feeling for what I want from you. Or here I actually have also stuff like this, the ellipse sheet, for example. Just boom and boom. There you go. Photoshop. So that you start to practice things like drawing boxes, placing ellipses in perspective, because ellipse is nothing else than a perfect circle in perspective, drawing circles, but also placing these in boxes. That should be your first thing. Then you should start to also add and draw more three-dimensional forms, where you come even to a part where you start to draw figures from your imagination with three-dimensional forms. Okay, so basically stuff like this. Okay, just think about forms, think about figures in 3D space and practicing placing that. That should be really the first step, because this is your groundwork, right? And then the next step is basically practicing and start also going into value paintings. So anything like grayscale paintings, anything that kind of like helps you to understand value separation, value structure, because values is all about shadow and light. This is really important for you. And the next step then is going to the color stage. And we haven't even talked about design yet, right? So you have to be also a bit more clear when you say that you want to become a professional. Let me also move over here again. So when you want to make money with it, of course, there are many different ways of making money. You can go into a studio, work for someone and provide your service, but you can also work as a freelancer but you're still providing your service. And you can also kind of like sell artwork, which you do. So I would really focus on a specific area where you want to focus first, and then really cut it down into pieces. Okay, what do I need? Obviously, most cases you need a portfolio. So a big thing you should focus on is making consistent work. Like we have seen from Arzen. Arzen decided to want to go into the environment concept stage, right? So she focused only on making environments, and that's it. And that's all she's doing. So now, every time you do something, it has to be goal-oriented. And of course, you also said you were a hobby artist, so I don't know how much time you spend per day or per week on making art. I would say a good average is something like 20 hours per week on practicing, at least, if you want to have a continuous growth in there, right? And whenever you need help with a structure or anything, I would also say, or exercises, go to reach out to other people who are already in this world, people who are already kind of like working on themselves, and ask them what they do and ask how they structure their day, what do they do. And yeah, I think that's kind of like the most thing. Hey Jonah, welcome to the stream. Hey everyone, everyone else joining. Chris, do you have any specific question? Anything which I can kind of like help you with, or kind of like answer something? Exactly what you have planned. Perfect. So yeah, practicing perspective. Perspective is really number one skill to master first, because everything is based on good drawing. Hey Arzad, if you go for option B and you want to share your Instagram, yeah, I think the problem is I probably cannot open it on my PC because I'm not logged into Instagram. So maybe if you have something else, that would be great. Yeah, Chris. And by the way, if you need anything, a problem with structure, anything, just reach out also to the mentees on the server who were in the mentorship program. Just kind of like also asking them for help, or just on feedback. And yeah, okay, cool. Thanks for joining. Please claps for Chris in the chat, +1. Thanks for sharing, and also a lot of luck to you and your future. And I'm looking forward to see what comes out next. Okay, we have Borishnov, my good buddy Boris. So we can actually move over to Photoshop for this one. Choop, choop, choop. So, Boris. For the people who don't know Boris, Boris is also a long-time supporter, member, friend, but also was in the mentorship. Is a project he started in the mentorship. Really like that he continuously work on his skill. And you know, becoming an artist is a long path. It takes a long time, and it's a really big task, because it's not only a long task, but it's also something where we continuously have to try to improve, try to get better. And yeah, and Boris is a great example because he's continuously working on himself. So this is a tea set he designed for his IP. As I remember, it is a world, and Arsen, this may be also interesting for you. This is a world where kind of like tea becomes the most highest valued thing in the world, so even more than gold and money. So they kind of like worship tea, so to speak. And tea is basically the big focus of the world. So Boris did already church designs, which kind of like resemble teapots, and a lot of cool different things. So he worked on this one, and he asked what could be improved. Also, Boris, let me read again what you wrote, that I don't forget anything. Tea set design, keep it simple, good line work, flat colors. Yeah, you did, but I feel like design is too simple. Tips on improving detail, tips on line work would be appreciated. Okay, so first let's talk about design. So in terms of design, I like this thing here, the stand. It looks very medieval, a bit fantasy-ish, but I like the design, and that's a cool area. And I feel like the tea set in itself looks a bit modern, or a bit more modern than this thing. When you do elements like this with these metal knots, could be cool just to see how if we had maybe also tea sets which are a bit heavier looking, right? Where kind of like, okay, let's say this is a tea set from a certain warrior cult, right? And they have these enforced tea sets. Maybe they have tea sets which are purposely more heavy to build muscle while drinking tea. That would be super funny idea, since you already like big lats and big muscles from your designs. Maybe that could be also something. So my feedback in general would be basically story idea and context, because I feel it looks still a bit too basic, you know? I can't really 100% tell who is owning this set, and also what is kind of like this story context, right? So that's really something that I would focus on. Hey Peter, how's it going? Hey Reishi, how's it going? Hey Azad. Hey Jonah. So that's basically something I would do. I would really think about to add context. And also I feel you have a few missed opportunities to add context. So for example, where the tea is standing on, right? So you could add whenever, like, let's say, and this is again the question about who's owning this. So let's say this is of something like a Spartan cult, right? So maybe they have super decorated. So you could kind of like add. You could add basically symbols. You could add graphics, whatever it is that the cult is kind of like worshipping. So there's a lot of design possibility in here, right? To tell stories. It's really about telling the story. So kind of like adding, I don't know, maybe it's Cult of the Sun or so. So maybe they worship sun or something. So you can kind of like start to add interesting elements which tell more story. Same for these elements, for these knots. Don't just add simple knots. this is a possibility for detail, right? You can kind of like go in here and think about, okay, if someone from this culture, this background would design this, how would they design these knots, right? Maybe they are little like gargoyle statues on the Notre Dame in Paris, right? Like little mouth who looks like who's more aggressive, or anything that kind of like fits more this story here, right? There's a lot of possibility and opportunity to add story, so I feel like this is definitely something that you still should do. And it could be something simple. Sometimes it doesn't have to be a crazy idea. It can be super simple, right? But just adding a bit of interesting detail, like people appreciate looking at this stuff. I appreciate it if you really think about something, right? Or if there's sign as an eagle or something. The other thing when it comes to line work, your line work looks really good already, Boris. And I'm super happy to say that, because I see every time you improve, I get happy about that. I would say what you could do is you could enforce line weight a little bit more. So especially when you have overlaps here, right? So this is more like a dark brown. But if you have stuff like here where you have, let me zoom in here. When you have overlaps, for example, and you go in here and there's something in front, kind of like enforcing here the silhouette a bit more. You could also add, for example, a bit thicker line weight to the ground. So like a fake contact shadow. But as I see, you already took the tip with coloring the line weight, which is pretty cool. That's a cool effect on these things, but I would kind of like make sure you see when I just start to add this, it makes the readability a bit better. And when you have stuff in front of each other, here this is a great example for this having hills next to each other, right? How do you tell which hill is in the front? And just through adding more line weight and making a clear overlap, you know that this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, right? Great example. Okay. Any more questions, Boris? Otherwise, I would say I would move on. Good work. And yeah, if you have more questions, you know where to find me. Okay. I will save this, and I can also post this later in the channel after the stream. Let me call it Boris. Sweet. Okay, who is next? Sweet. My pleasure, Boris. Okay. Just call me headphones guy or headphones. Okay. All right. This is a redesign of an old character. Basically, I felt the previous design had too many elements, so I wanted to simplify it a little bit. I also wanted to make him look relatively younger to match his rough basic backstory. It's less of a reference sheet and more of me testing waters, so to speak. Okay. Okay. Cool. Let's go to Photoshop. Just quickly, let me read this again. Okay. I mean, whatever. So, first of all, the important thing is whenever you do a character, and it really doesn't matter how from which angle you approach it. The important thing is, what is the character for? Is the character for a game? Is it for a movie? Is it like what is kind of like the end goal that you want to do with it? Because this is also something what I very often see is that people start doing art, and I did this over and over myself over the years, that I just start with something without really thinking about what should be the end goal, the end opportunity of this, right? So that's the first thing we need to answer. So what's the goal, right? So goal, question mark. If it's for a game, what is the game mechanic? So when I say game mechanic, I want you to think about a game you just played and where you played a character. For example, God of War, you play the character. How do you see the character? You see the character from behind, right? All the time in God of War. When you play a different game, like let's say Counter-Strike, right? You are in eye sight the whole time, so you don't see technically yourself while playing. If you play a top-down game where you play the character from top to bottom, these are things we have to kind of like answer, right? So this is the first big question. If it's for a movie, then we can also say, okay, what do we want to communicate? What do we need? What do we want to show, right? Is it the main character? Is it the antagonist, the protagonist? Is it just a side character? So can we do some costume designs maybe? Is it one character who's kind of like specific, right? Yeah, and you really have to think about this because this helps you in the process of character creation. If you answer these questions, you make it much easier for yourself. So same if we think about the game scenario, right? It's not only about mechanic, but it's also like, is this the main character or is this just an NPC? If it's an NPC, what is the NPC doing? Is he maybe a vendor, right? Does he sell us maybe certain things, right? So we need to communicate these elements. Okay, this is my first biggest feedback when it comes to that. Technically, design-wise, since it's a bit stylistic, I would say you can push shapes much more. Okay, so I like that you draw and I like that you try to draw with lines. So really focus more on to nail your perspective, because a few things here look a little bit flat. So you lose a little bit, for example, the back volume of his head, you know, right? Since it's a three-dimensional form. Then also when you do a style where you have these manga comic eyes, it's still an eye. So it's still something that sits in an eye socket. So it's a three-dimensional form, right? So this is definitely important. Even if we do these stylized noses, we need to make sure, okay, this is three-dimensional. So communicate form, because your job is communication, right? It's not just drawing, it's about to communicate something. And then the other part is shapes. So everything you draw, everything you do is communicated through shapes as well. So if I have an ear, I can make either a simple ear or I can make a really cool ear with a lot of interesting shapes, right? And you kind of like did it here already, like this, for example. That's a really cool S-curve shape. And you also break the silhouette a little bit and stuff, but don't do it too much and do it purposely, right? So if he has a little bit of long hair, maybe he has one thing that kind of like comes out here, make a nice rhythm. And everything here works together. Right, so then we have this going here. Then we also have weight on things like that here. So I can also add quickly, maybe let me lower the opacity a bit so it's easier to see. Like this. Okay. And then also, this is a really cool drawing here. I really like this because it's a lot of stuff happening on the silhouette. This looks really badass here with the hand. And if this is about the character that he can kind of like morphs himself, then emphasize that in all his or her drawings. Attitude is also very important. Badass, rough background. Probably a lot of people who have rough background, they're often a bit more badass in selling. Okay. Also here, if he's dynamic, give him a wider stand. I was kind of focused on the redesign part, just as a way to create juicy flowing. Hadn't considered the goal yet. Okay, good. Then this is your main feedback here. First, look for the goal. Look for the goal. Think about what's the goal with the character. What is it that's the end result, and then go for it. Okay. Any more questions? Otherwise, I would like to see this finished here. What did you also wrote? Okay. Hey, No Name Drafter, welcome to the stream. Happy to have you. Hey, Darko, how's it going? How you doing, buddy? Cool, sweet. So also claps for Headphones Guy. Thanks for sharing. And let's move over to the next one. Okay, next up we have Trunkus PT. Sorry, I have to practice it. Julherm? Is it that correct? Julherm? Or Julherm? Sorry, it's a very cool name. Are you still here? Ah, yes, nice. Okay, cool. So, again, I just said again, I hope I don't butcher your name. Julherm. Wrote. Or can I say Jules also? So, aspiring concept artist for video games, spend around 20 hours per week. I'm very into character design props, but I'm struggling to get a job in the industry. I want to get it ASAP, so as quickly as possible. Hope it's possible to get some feedback on my portfolio. Alright, let's take a look then. Which one is it? Oh, here. Julherm, yeah, where you are? Why is it not opening it? That's confusing. Okay. Sorry, I have to reopen it because I don't know what's happening. Just a few seconds. Okay, let me delete this. Add capture source. Window capture. New source, art station. Boom. Art station. There you go. Done. Okay. Okay, let's take a look. Okay. So you wrote your concept artist. Okay, let me take a look. So when people look at your portfolio, they always look at the stuff, unfortunately, which is lowest quality in your portfolio. Because this is what, like, that's the weird thing about portfolios. People do not look at the best. Sometimes they kind of like get caught by the best on a discovery page. But when they look at the portfolio, what stands out, and that's also what stands out to me, is kind of like the difference in quality from this piece from last year to, for example, this piece. This you posted 14 minutes ago, I want to say. 14 minutes. Why is my camera not visible? Where's my camera? Hey Carsten, welcome to the stream. How's it going? Is my face not visible? Okay. Okay. I just posted it right now. Okay, sorry guys, I just have to quickly figure out where my camera is going because my camera's just disappeared for no reason. Okay, is it maybe the cable? Let's let me quickly reconnect this thing here. It's always, I always wonder how professional streamers do that. That a streams run so consistent. Every time I do my stream, something is do not working. Ah, there you go. I'm back. I think. Oh, I just froze. Okay. Off. On. Da-da-da. Camera, where are you? Video capture. Sony. Add new source, add new source. Okay, we have to do it like this. Sorry, fit to screen. See me in full live. And then I just delete this one here. Yes. I take this one. And I'm back. Apologies. Okay. So, again, Jude. So, yeah, the fascinating thing about looking over portfolios, also in my previous company, there is people never really look at. When they hire you, they look at all the projects, but they kind of like, first of all, try to find the consistency quality that you can bring to the table. So they say maybe, okay, that's cool. He can do 3D and he does like product design and stuff. And then, oh, okay, that's cool. Like, okay, he can do props and stuff. Then they look at the characters. And then, like, okay, okay, there's some motion in here. Is there context? Okay, he does some weapons, but Yeah, there's a little bit more exploration missing. Also, in general, what I always find fascinating that people do these color schemes next to the characters. To be honest, when I look at this, I am not interested in what different colors you used in a separate batch. Because why? I see what colors you used, right? So why do I need this? I don't want to redo this. I don't want to reprint it. I don't want to sell it and print it, so I don't need the color scheme. So I'm always kind of like questioning why people do that. But I don't know, maybe it's just something that I've missed also. When it comes to making characters, you know, and that there is a very important tool that you miss in general here, which is production pipeline work. So you do these characters here, and usually when you have this is basically the end thing where you showcase the whole design, right? But then we also need to communicate, okay, what is on the backside? Do we need callouts? And you do backsides here, but you basically don't really show the character from behind. You only show the shield from the side. And then it's also not 100% rendered, so it looks a bit not totally completely done. This is cool here with the different colors iterations. I always like sketches. I'm a big fan of the iterational part. When it comes to sketches like these, especially when this is design work, I'm very critic with this. So first of all, naming is missing. This is something where I always, how do you say, slap on the fingers of my mentees, because when they forget to name their stuff, I get really pissed. Because when we talk about stuff, how am I supposed to tell you what I'm talking about, right? So it's very simple. Just name your things in your sheets, folks, please. A to Z, 1 to 20, doesn't matter, just give it a number or a name. This is really important. It makes it much easier to talk about. The next thing is here, design. So since you make costume designs here, I like the sketches, but it makes it a bit tough to read them in terms of readability. So a good step could be adding just values and show basically the different elements through value separation. And also, I kind of like don't really see right away what is actually the goal of the character here. You know, so you added these elements, and technically what you have to understand is that this needs to be understandable without me reading any text anywhere. Okay, so if you want to do a knight, it needs to be visible, it's a knight. If you want to do a futuristic knight, it needs to be understandable, it's a futuristic knight. If you want to do a king, a princess, a NPC, a vendor, a creature, whatever it is, the context needs to be visually understandable. If I look at this character, I'm not 100% sure. I can kind of like guess, and I'm also an artist, so I look at a lot of these things. And I see that your idea is kind of like cool with the big shield, you know, that could be a cool game mechanic and have a cool fight. But then I would kind of like elaborate this even more. There's like a lot of context missing. So, and you have obviously the skills to communicate. It's more like what you communicate. And then if you have these sheets here, cool, but help me to understand what you try to look for here. Because it's not really, I try not really see, okay, is this a cultural direction you try to go for? And I'm really critical here with you now because you said you want to become an artist and work somewhere like ASAP, as soon as possible. Okay, that's why I'm very, very strict now here with you. If you would say you have 2 years or a year or I don't know how long to get better, then I would give you a different feedback. But since then, I'm saying these designs also, they should be also a bit more different, you know? So yeah, just basically helping me to understand what you try to achieve here. Let's look over the other characters. So again, without me looking on the right side, reading what is there, I'm just looking at this character, okay? So it looks like a ritual person, Viking-ish, with, I mean, I like the colors and the elements and everything, that looks pretty. And he's doing kind of like spiritual attacks, which is a really cool idea, which I feel you should elaborate a bit more. Again, I love these drawings. I love the colors. This looks really pretty. This also looks kind of like cool. But you know, when you do this guy here colored, why don't you just color the rest also as well? It doesn't take long to just color these elements, right? It would just kind of like push your quality a bit more. Again, your sketches. I love your sketches. Really, really cool. Your sketches, your thinking. I love that. Also, this is great to see. Basically. The mood board in your thinking and how you operate in making projects. But you should definitely try to streamline your process when it comes to make these characters. And then very important, what I miss again is A pose or T pose, back pose, and callouts. So seeing the character from behind, very important, especially for 3D artists. You have to show that you are able to communicate this. This is your bread and butter as a character artist. Knowing how to make T pose, A pose, back pose, and callouts. And it doesn't sound exciting for most people, but this is really part of that. And then also take out this here because this doesn't look like your recent quality. I think you can do better than this already. So even though you spend a lot of work here, either overdo it, overwork it, okay? Overwork it or take it out. You always get measured by your worst quality. And one little more thing. Again, I'm just strict because you said you want to do it ASAP. So you just did this prop design here. Which looks pretty good, to be honest, and it seems like you can do 3D. So maybe kind of like find a good mix of making props for your characters, that everything comes together, that you build a harmonious piece when it comes to your portfolio, and that you don't throw just everything where you think that's good into the portfolio, because that doesn't help you, and I just speak from experience, it doesn't help you to get a job. Because when they look for someone, they look for an expert on something. Expert on props, expert on characters, expert on environments. Okay? They always go for the best, basically. Okay? And if you need more input or something, just reach out on the Discord. Okay? Cool. I hope this wasn't too hard, but again, since your quality level is already a bit higher, the feedback is much more strict here. All right, let's move over. Hey Cerberus, welcome to the stream. Happy to have you. Okay, I hope that everything was clear. Okay, let's move over to Prisma HDS. Yeah, and don't get discouraged. I know this part, this time where you're in right now is really tough. Like this area, this transitioning phase from being a student to actually trying to get in or to get a job is really tough. It's the toughest part. But just don't focus on what you can do. Focus on communicating this the best, like kind of like presenting yourself, and just don't give up. And then I can say 100% you will get a job. Just don't give up. So we have Prisma HDS portfolio review, please. The David. Game design from Berlin. So David probably maybe speaks German, maybe not. I'm just guessing here. HTW. So my old university, actually. That's funny. David, 2D and 3D artist. Okay. David, are you here? Oh, I have to make sure that my voice is still there. We're just 1 hour in, but it starts to crumble. Again, if anyone who just joined, if you also want a feedback or so either way on a general feedback or a specific feedback, make sure to go on the live stream channel in Discord. There's a link in the YouTube and then in the YouTube chat. And then just decide if you go for A or B, post it there, and B, brave yourself to get roasted. No, of course not. I'm always nice to everyone because I understand it's very important. But I also feel like it's good if I'm also sometimes a bit more strict, especially with my students. I'm super strict with them because their future is important. They come with trust to me, and for me, it's important that everyone lands where they come in. Oh, okay, cool. Thanks, Jude. Thanks. David, you here? Cool. All right. So first of all, that's funny actually. David is studying at HTW. University of Applied Science, I think it's in English. It's the university where I also studied industrial design. So they also have a game design faculty, which is the one I also applied for, but I didn't get in because I was so bad. Hey, Mr. Zarkog, welcome to the stream, and thanks for the Twitch follow. I appreciate it. So yeah, and he studied there. So they have a really cool facility, and they also produce a lot of great artists there, great designers. Okay. So David, did you wrote what is your goal actually? So in ArtStation, it's 2D and 3D artist. So okay, this looks like environment stuff. Okay, this looks more like 3D prop design. Oh yes, sketches. So whenever you do stuff like this where you show your 3D at the end, please always show sketches, iteration, right? Show people that you have a process where you start with an idea, you elaborate the idea, because then you also show that you are coachable, that people can tell you, hey, can we kind of like first talk about the design on paper and kind of like iterate it before we go into 3D, because every step in a production costs money. Okay, so always do this. Cool. Military support bag. So the look is pretty cool. Design wise, I mean, the stickers and everything, I don't know if you maybe done it a bit too much with the stickers here. And I see the green, but still, I mean, 100%, I wouldn't know that it's maybe military. Now that I see the shuffle, I can see it. Okay. AMD. Why does it has an AMD sticker on it? Toshiba. So it's kind of like gamified, like in Fortnite and stuff, right? Okay. What did you wrote? Emergency spaghetti? That's funny. Okay. Oh, the music was off. Okay. So let's move over here. So basically another prop. These are cool. I like these, David, especially, and I also want to tell you what I like. First of all, I like that you show line art, and because line art is a very essential skill. I know a lot of art directors who love line art. I know people who got only hired for line art also, but this is a really good skill. Also, I like these designs here because they kind of like they're different, so they all look like really different scaling, different shapes. I think you could have elaborate this here a bit more, you know, without going directly in this here. So you probably choose one of them, but I would love if you would elaborate these designs more. You can basically just take these silhouettes, draw over these silhouettes, and kind of like show me all the incremental detail inside. That could be really cool. What else? So even though it's supposed to be a World War I or World War II weapon, context would be cool, even though it's just a prop, right? I mean, you can even take a fake silhouette with a military character, just put it in the hand of this character to show a bit of context, like this one here, for example, right? So I can kind of like can see where you come from in terms of like college. I would love to see more context in the work. This is an illustration, I guess. So also you do a lot of different things in here, right? This wasn't the last one, this is the last one. Okay. So how old is this? Last year, okay. So I think you should really try to figure out what is it that you want to do, David. I feel like this is pretty strong here. I would love to see more from this world. I would love to see what is it about. Why is there a city right next to the dam? Is the main problem of the world they're living in too much water or too much landmass disappearing, and they have to kind of like build this safe area for themselves? And then you showcase how this is working, right? This is what I would love to see, because you kind of like want to entertain. And I'm back with this again. We want to work in entertainment, so we need to entertain, and I'm a little bit missing here the spice, the entertaining part of it. This looks like a big harp, and okay, but there's a dude with a camel in the foreground. Context again. What is it? Is it for a game? Is it for a movie? What is it that you want to tell? What is the story? When you have the skills to do stuff like this, put it in context. Show someone jumping out of a plane with this, or show the war scenario where someone kind of like loots this. Same here. If you have these, in what world is this coming together? Is this a fantasy industrial world in London 1778, and they have really cool steampunk mechanics and they can use it for weapons and stuff? Really like show your inner child and your ideas and show the context of it and try to entertain people. This is really, really important. Entertain people. That's the goal of it. Because you have a good taste, and you have a good, I think you have a designer, you think like a designer more and more. Use your tools, David. Okay? Any questions? Anything unclear? And really think about what you want to do. So maybe only do props and environments, then design props for your environments, and you kind of like slap, how you say, kill two birds with one stone. I hope never someone killed birds, but because I really like birds, but you know the saying. Any questions, David? I don't know if David is still here. Ah, no, nicht wirklich. Okay. Ich hoffe, ich war jetzt nicht zu streng mit dir. Aber ich hoffe, ich denke, du verstehst, was ich meine. I think you... Ja, gerne. Gerne. No problems at all. What kind of additional context would you have him make for the rifle, for example? So first of all, going to the idea, because I really like these kind of like adaptational elements here, right, of this rifle. So I would kind of like think of who would use this rifle first of all, right? So maybe is it an engineer? Is it a soldier which got stranded in a certain area and he has to fight through? Is it part of the world we play in, we operate in? Is it like do they have a lot of people who are more interested in engineering, or is it just one specific character? Then I would kind of like go hand in hand with, maybe this guy is more of a tinker, so he's kind of like, whatever you find in the world, you can kind of like combine it and build something. And then I would kind of like try to streamline and elaborate this more on maybe designing guns which look really crazy. You know the rail gun from the gravity gun from Half-Life 2? I love this gun because just this simple mechanism of push and pulling and throwing things away was so simple but fascinating and entertaining, right? So when we do a gun like this, you could basically say, okay, you can also do the character for the gun. Or will there be more streams like this? If you want more streams like this, and people want, then sure, yes, why not? I mean, this is basically what I do all day. So giving feedback, it's not a problem for me. The question is like how many people wants it, needs it. Yeah, so basically going more into the world building of this, right? Because I really like the design, I liked it. I would love to see who is using this gun and how it's used. Maybe ammunition as well. What is the game mechanic? Is it something, even if it's for a game which could be as simple as, I don't know, yeah, or is it, it's like, think about a shooter you play. Like in Counter-Strike, you have the option where you press F, that the player is kind of like looking at the gun while holding it. You know, like the design, like these boxes you can buy for Counter-Strike. You can kind of like make a fake screen, right? And kind of like show how someone is holding that gun. That's just context. And then you just do some monster silhouettes in the back. But you show context, right? Where do we see this? And how is it entertaining people that you convince someone to hire you to do more of this? Do you understand? Does it make sense? Yeah, it's a very sick design, right? Okay. Yeah, and David, again, if you have more questions, reach out to me on Discord. In general, I really like your environments. They look really strong, and you have 3D skill, which is good. I also love that you do a lot of prop designs. I would try to combine your skills more, you know, and that you work on projects which kind of like start with a simple idea, a simple problem. Then you design out these problems in props and showcase these in an environment setting, for example, or within a character if that's what you prefer, right? So if you design basically water towers for this world, like, so it's all about water. There's so many ideas you can kind of like solve with water. Like what is housing doing when it's raining constantly? Or when, like, what's happening to landmass? How do people live? Do they live elevated now? There's so many things, but you have to solve and show stuff. At the end, this is basically just the image of a dam, right? But it doesn't show anything. Like, you show that you can produce an image. That's cool, but that's not enough. Okay. Next up, we have Noah. Ja, David, wenn du irgendwelche Fragen hast, dann sag Bescheid, ne? Also, claps for David. Thanks for sharing. Again, that always takes courage to show these things because it's important for everyone. So, claps in the chat, please, for David as well. So, Noah, are you here? So Noah wrote, I stumbled across your message about the stream on Instagram. I want to give it a try. Would like to have your opinion if my current portfolio is freelance environment concept art ready. Thanks a lot in advance. Okay. Noah, are you here? Claps, claps, claps. Oh, snap, snap, snap. So Noah is not here. So if Noah is not here, John, are you here? Darko, so to speak. Frankenstein. Frankenstein. Is Frankenstein monster? Frankenstein monster. Is Frankenstein Noah? No problem. So I guess Frankenstein is Noah, right? Okay. Yeah. Okay. Cool. 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 Sweet. Alrighty. So, so the question of Noah is if it's ready for environment concept art freelance. Okay. Okay. Micro apartment in a tent. Cool line work. I really like the line work, Noah. Very, very solid. What? Roastery cafe? Ah, I didn't saw that. Ooh, okay. Okay. So the inside I didn't really get the outside combination with the inside. It's like interesting the choice that you made in terms of where you went with it. Living building. So first of all, Noah, you have really good execution skills. No question. So technically you definitely have the skills, I want to say. I'm kind of like thinking about where this kind of like fits in production. I mean, this is stuff that we also would have do in my previous company, like interiors, where like we did tons of interiors. Technically not, obviously not the setting, right? More of like display, but you definitely have the skill set here. I'm kind of like thinking about how you can show your skill set even better. Building and living, lookout, spiritual base. What's this? Favelas. I mean, this stuff looks all very beautiful. So again, your communication skill is pretty good. And I would say it's definitely enough for freelance environment art. Interesting shape here. But it doesn't really look like this, right? Building. Okay, it's really interesting, the end result, because I feel like this here looks really cool. I really love how this looks also with the different colors, and it kind of like can communicate tons of different cultures. But also how the evolution was here from this to this. But yeah, some of it looks really cool. Also where to enter in the space looks interesting. Sorry, I have to look a bit more over that. Okay, let me take a look at more things. What is that statue? Like a melted heart? Temple of Uncrew Sisters. 2 sisters. They couldn't be unequal. Okay, interesting. So this stuff is really here. This is really important for level building. Noah, what do we do with you? This is also very strong here, like drawings, showcasing design. I mean, in terms of design itself, I think there's still a little bit of room you have technically to improve. I mean, we all can improve on design, right? Because design, like, is really tough. It's really hard. Design is really, really hard. But I mean, it looks really cool already. Kind of like thinking what really would help you here to improve. Because like when I see this here for example, the micro apartment in a tent, and it's this art station, I don't know what was the art station thing, you know, medieval back and forth. Okay. The question is, if you do stuff like this, does it really benefit you in terms of getting a job? You know, this is the big question. Does it really help you? Right? So let's say Noah, just drop it in the chat quickly, what type of game or movie you want to work in, or name a studio you want to work in. Because right now it really looks like a lot of different things. Like this gives me a little bit of Horizon vibes here, also with the more tribal things. That could be cool. But I think the world building here could be a bit bigger. So for example, like saying what is, like you wrote ancient small village in the desert cliffs, wanted a village surrounded by quicksand. But I would say there is more leverage. There is more you can do. Like, why do they live in the desert? What's the reason? What do they have to encounter every day? What is their problems? Is it like they don't have water? Do the buildings look like cactines because they try to save a lot of water in their buildings, you know? Like when you do buildings, don't just think about like one main purpose, you know, like lookout. Give it a secondary function to make it even more interesting. If it's a spiritual place, awesome. Make it even more vertical. Think like churches. Why are churches built vertically? Because people want to be closer to God. When you do living houses, what makes the living house so special, right? If it's a lookout, like is it a defensive tower? Is it like something more attacking? Semi-realistic styles have not specific games or studios in mind. Should I have? Yes, you should. That would be my next step. My next question, because I really like this here. I really like this. I can see this in a game or in a game production. I can also see this in a game production, but a bit more stylized, you know, in terms of like this. By the way, I don't know if you kind of like looking for, but I think my old company is looking for a senior environment concept artist at the moment. You should definitely try with this stuff. You know, because they do like hidden object scenes where they need a lot of interiors. So I can also hook you up there with someone if you're interested or not. I think that could be a possibility. Maybe not as a senior, maybe as an intermediate or so, or junior. I don't know, because sometimes if they're open for seniors, and you can also get in as a junior, because I think you have the skill. It's more of what you display here, you know. Also this year, everything you do in your portfolio project should have a purpose, right? And should also communicate. Like here, for example, you do a temple, but I don't see if it's for a movie production, is it for a game production? You should focus your work more on what production pipeline could it fit. Okay? So, for example, if you do stuff for God of War, look at what the environment artists on God of War did. They did tons of doorways, they did tons of walls, ground planes, because they need all that for all the level they work in. They don't need too many establishing shots, but they need a lot of like cutout, callouts, designs. So really focus on where do you want to work, you know? And I think also some of these things What is this? 5 years ago. And well, I would take this out here. Take this out as well. Take this out as well. It's kind of cool, but I would then overpaint this. Because I feel like this is 4 years old, Noah. And this do not reflect this. This is your strongest piece, I would say. This one here. Yeah, this is your strongest piece. And you don't need your full ArtStation full here, right? So if you have like 5 to 10 pieces, this looks also pretty cool here. I really like this. So if you do one level, cool. Show where's the player. Okay, I see the player. That's cool. That's cool. That's what we need. Do you have any more questions, Noah? Anything I can help with? Otherwise, just reach out to me on Discord, okay? Hey, Mr. Smithy, welcome to stream. Any more questions, Noah? Anything? Jonah, I recommend looking at the Studio Mood visual worked on Horizon God of War. Remind me of their work. Yeah, you mean character? Yeah. Yeah, you can definitely learn a lot from their work. On Horizon especially, I think, Noah. Thanks with everything. Good question to ask. Okay, cool. All right, sweet. Thanks also for Noah for sharing. Claps in the chat for Noah, please. For sharing his awesome work. Okay. Now we have Darko. Darko is still here. Like and subscribe. Thanks, Smithy. Thank you. So let me put this down. Let me put Discord down, and we have Photoshop this time. Darko, are you still here? Or AKA John Drake. Thank you, Smithy. Thank you. Thanks for doing my work. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Okay, if Darko's not here, we move over to Restless Color then. Because I see Restless Colors here. Then we also have Jonah. No, I'm German. Are you Austrian? Okay, Restless Color. Are you ready for your feedback? Ah, Darko's here. Sorry, Darko. I got you. Oh, yeah, okay, Restless Color. Hey, Dark was here, so no worries. But I got you afterwards, okay? We come to you as well. Okay. Alright, Darko. Da-da-da. So let me read it. My name is Darko. I'm in the middle of revamping my portfolio right now, and it's not quite ready for feedback, but this particular character is... What? Oh, sorry, I can't read this word. Indicative? Indicative? What does indicative means? Sorry, it's not my native language. Indicative? I never heard this word. Indikativ. Lol. Okay. My bad. Of what I'm shooting for, would love the harsh critique. Harsh critique you can get, my friend. Hoping find work as 2D characters in the near future. Thanks. Also have sketches and iterations, but figure out maybe crossing the line from A to B option. Okay. Okay, got you. So you want to do characters as a job. So I mentioned it a bit before already that technically if you want to work as a character artist or character concept artist in production, the bread and butter of your work will be this. And like this is already, you have this in here, which is cool, like showing that you can communicate a front and a back view, right? This is what you need. Front and back. And also what we need is technically also side, right? So showcasing the character from the side, and also maybe specific callouts. So if anything is maybe not visually communicated, then we also need to communicate that. In general, stuff like this you can always do. But for example, design-wise, I would obviously love to see more. I would love to see more different direction when it comes to designs, but of course you just posted this one piece and not showcasing all of it. So I hope below this piece you have design iterations. So you have a lot of sketches, a lot of grayscale sketches maybe, where you show different helmet designs, which also kind of like communicate here the character in itself, because that's my biggest problem right now, is kind of like figuring out the archetype of this character. Because when we do characters, archetype, we always shoot for an archetype, right? What's our archetype? Tanky warrior, mage, wizard, adventurer, rogue, everything that's kind of like directly explaining the character. From my guessing, I could think it's either a more ritual holy warrior or something like a paladin archetype, since he also has a lot of gold elements. Like a paladin archetype with Egyptian influence, I would say. So then the next thing here is really trying to communicate what is basically the main focus of this, right? So what is he doing? And then design wise, you know what, let me make a white layer on top, kind of like go over this. So he looks very slim, and also I think anatomy-wise, this looks all like his arm and everything looks very slim. So let me check this here. So if it's a dude, I can't really tell, to be honest, if it's a dude or a girl, I need to say. I think, actually, to be honest, until now I thought it would be a dude, but now I see the hips here. I think it's actually a girl, right? So this is basically something you should consider. How can we make her maybe a bit more, even a bit more female? Or if, I mean, if you try to go for something in between, maybe that was your intention. I don't know. Let me know in the chat. But I would actually try to look for how can we communicate this even a bit better. Then also here the staff part or the grip part of this axe could be a bit thicker. Looks also very slim. Also here you can push shapes much more. Again, back to the part of entertaining, right? We want to entertain, right? So like make things sometimes a bit more over the top. Cool shape, cool idea, just push it more. I like this. I feel like if you would go for this sun design, you should also kind of like mimic it on the armor design. Because here you have a shell, here you have the shell again, here you have the shell, or you go on the shell design on the weapon as well. The armor itself doesn't look very functional, I want to say. It looks like a lot of heavy stuff on her. So if it's more like a royal guard or something, more like decorative, definitely consider this as well. And here also again, like if you have things like these cool shapes, push the shapes more. I feel like you behave a bit too much when you design. I think you can definitely try also to design more with the intention of doing something very special. For example, also go for verticality and make a stronger silhouette, you know? Like the silhouette in general could be also be a bit more, you could break the silhouette a bit more in the process. These golden things usually are made to make the neck a bit longer. To also to convince beauty. I like that you went for something asymmetrical. That means that's pretty good, because often people don't go for too much asymmetry. But also make sure that when it comes to design, really look at certain references that it makes sense in terms of functionality. Okay. I was thinking about Temple Guardian. Okay, Temple Guardian. Yeah, that was actually, so I wasn't too far away from this. A young woman. Yeah, okay, that's something you have to work on. Regarding just technicality, okay, I would for the back view, you don't need to render the back view necessarily. I would actually take out these tones here you add and just take the flats with the line work. That's enough to communicate it, because you render it already once in the front. You can, like you did here, you know, without too many of reflections and stuff. The thing here, this doesn't look too nice, to be honest. This like looks very big and clumsy. It doesn't look like a nice small decorative element on a helmet. It looks very big, you know. I have to think a little bit about furniture, to be honest, when I look at this, because I can see this on like more Art Deco 1920 decoration elements on tables and chairs and stuff, you know. Not really sure if I can see that on a table, on an armor. Also, the material here is very unclear to me. I don't know if this is leather, shiny leather, or if this is a certain supposed to be pearl or certain metal. So this is also pretty tough in terms of readability. And also everything is kind of like shiny and reflective. So, and on top of that, light direction is also not 100% clear here. So I think what you can also do is kind of like focus a bit more. I mean, unfortunately, I don't have the flats on this, but what I would do, I would go in and kind of like just work back on the flats and kind of like reduce a bit more on the general things, you know, like kind of like adding few shadows and really think about, okay, what is here to focus? Like this, for example, going in here. Then really think about, okay, what is this material here? Because this white material, it looks like pearl or something, or ceramic also. And you can do it just with one tone. Use a soft round brush for erasing to control that. Going in here, but also like thinking about, okay, what area is completely blocked by light. Trying to make this a bit more solid here. Going in for a more consistent light also, you know. And really try to guide and lead the eye a bit more to the areas which you feel is important to communicate. Because everything is kind of like shiny here on your character. So I kind of like want to look everywhere, and it makes it a bit tougher to read. Does it make sense? Do you have any questions, Darko? Otherwise, I would say focusing really on what is it that you try to do. So when you say, okay, it's a like a temple warrior, temple knight, really think about, okay, what is the topic of the temple? What supportive elements would you like? Think about, it's the temple of the snake, right? What elements should we design on the armor then? Snake elements, obviously. If it's the temple of the sun, we need sun elements. This is how they do in movies. When you look at an old movie like Troy, for example, with Brad Pitt, look how the temple people who defend the Archimedes temple, for example, they had a certain look, which all was historically like matching that, you know? And here really just try to also hide a little bit of stuff to, on the other side, on the flip side, showcasing more of it. Okay, Darko? Any questions? I know the stream is a bit delayed. What's your art course program focus on? So my art program is focused on the personalized way of the people. So it's basically focused on people who want to either work in movies or in games or as professional artists. And everyone who comes in has a different level, of backstory, fundamental work, groundwork. So first we analyze the skill set, we write a plan, and then we work on projects together. And I try to make sure that whenever people leave, they are at least improved and they know what to do if they're without me. So that's basically to cut it short. So this is why it's also called mentorship, because I'm kind of like trying to mentoring, and people can basically send me feedback or things they need feedback on every day, and they have the chance to get feedback on their work every day. And we kind of like, I try to help them to work consistently over a long time. He looks like fella who would make a lot of jokes. I'm trying to learn to draw from imagination. Good, got any tips? Start with geometric forms from imagination, and then start with something super simple. So imagining the room next to you. Go into your room, look at your room, go in your living room, and then draw your room from imagination. or things you just saw. Don't start with human beings because human beings is tough. Yeah, I didn't want her to be feminine, but I probably want to be a bit more clear. Okay, cool, Darko. If you don't have anything, claps for Darko in the chat, please, for sharing also. And I want to see your portfolio done, Darko. Looking forward to it. Claps, 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 claps. Okay. Who else? Now we have Restless Color. Restless Color. Are you still live? Are you still here? Yes, you are. Okay. Okay, what did you have? Okay, we have Discord now. Let's go over to the... I'm shooting for like the Pearl. I'm struggling with how to make it clear. Yeah, if you go for the Pearl thing, Darko, I would recommend do a study on painting Pearl, and then you need to balance this out, because I think it's really tough to make it as an overall element, you know. I would kind of like think of maybe make the helmet and everything that protects from damaging her in a fight. I would make that maybe the gold part, you know, like it would be really protecting. And I would actually do the pearl part more of a decorated element, you know. So it makes technically more sense there. So let me switch to Discord. Ah yeah, you here. Okay, cool. There you have it. So happy to have you, Darko, and yeah, just post it from time to time in the Discord. If I have time, I go over stuff. Okay. Live stream here. Currently, I've joined a challenge where I only use black and white and one color. I want to focus on values, creating emotions, and anatomy. But of course, I'm open to your feedback, what areas to work well, if anything catches your eye. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Hold on, too late. No, you're not too late. Okay, so you do basically only use black and white and one color. Guild. Marvelous. Okay, it looks like a lot of sensational art, which is completely fine. So I would say what I would definitely, in general, I think what you definitely need to work on is, first of all, perspective and your communication skill in using line when you draw. So for example, I mean, we can just take this as an example here. Let me put this in Photoshop. Right. Oh no, don't want to delete it. Jesus Lord. Okay, let me put on the timer. Okay. So the biggest thing you definitely should work on is perspective. So basically communicating form change and value, form change and plane change. So when you have a three-dimensional form, right, and you draw this form, that it's understandable what is plane number 1, plane number 2, plane number 3, right? If we draw a cylinder, same thing, that we understand, okay, this is plane number 1, and maybe this is subdivided in more than one plane, maybe it has 4 planes. So when we draw a face is basically nothing else than a more complex three-dimensional form. But also on top of that, we also have anatomy. And fun fact: whenever I teach anatomy or like figure drawing in the mentorship, we always focus more on perspective, because perspective is, first of all, the biggest fundamental thing. And I think this is also why, for example, Kim Young-ji, when he was still alive, he said that he focused more on perspective because he does still mistakes in anatomy, but people are very forgiving when it comes to that, because his perspective is just very, very good, right? So even things like this here, when you have an eye, it sits in an eye socket because it's a 3-dimensional form. And you folks, you have very interesting ideas I have sometimes never would have, right? But still, like this stuff here, you can always like push this a bit more, push the shapes more. And if you still do like these kind of like more stylized noses, still give them 3-dimensional form. Nothing speaks about not communicating 3-dimensional form in here, right? Even it's a more of a indication of a nose, not a problem. Still communicate it. So here, communicate an upper lip, lower lip. Everything is a 3-dimensional form. If we have teeth like this, that's a solid teeth that sits inside a mouth. And to enforce this, you can look at references to like really look, okay, how can I design cool vampire teeth, for example? Yeah, perspective, perspective, perspective. Yeah, where is the tongue coming from, right? Could also go a bit over here, right? Maybe put this, make this bit more. If you go for sensational or crazy stuff, or even, I don't know, sexual stuff, go crazier. You want a reaction of your viewer, go crazier. But push these things here, right? It's like still, we can make this more interesting. And then here, stuff like this, we have opportunity, a lot of opportunity here that we can use for cool shapes. Hair, I love to draw hair. I don't know why so many people are afraid of hair, but hair gives you so much cool opportunity to make cool shapes. Here also these horns, they need stronger form, right? So whatever the form is, I would look at horns from animals, like goat horns, for example. Look how's the structure of them. Try to kind of like mimic the structure on your character to communicate this better, make it stronger. Same for ears. Push these shapes, but make sure you stay in the realm of a correct 3-dimensional perspective. Everything again gives you opportunity for a cool shape, cool design. Also break the silhouette maybe. Maybe he had a fight and someone attacked him. A bit of a horn got broken. And here, communicate 3-dimensionality. Let's flip it. That doesn't look too bad. Yeah, and then also don't lose form of the head. Right? Always imagine here, okay? Where is this sitting in? Like everything you draw sits in a matrix, you know? like a three-dimensional matrix. This is where perspective comes into play because it helps us to communicate. If I say this is a box, this is my front plane, this is my top plane, this is my side plane, you know, this is this. So we have to communicate this. This is our job, right? This is all we do. This is what people pay us for. So now the hand here needs to be much bigger also. Technically, the length of the hand is usually same like this, even if it's a smaller person. Let's say it's a female person, doesn't matter. Make the hand bigger. Right, and maybe finish the arms also. Also the angle here of the hand, I would kind of like make this here the same. Okay. Can you see it better when I make this up, you know? Okay, already such a big difference. Pushing forms make it more. Yes, really focus on this and just continue with like your ideas, right? Just have fun with the things you like doing and then focus really on perspective when you do these here. Hey Patrick, welcome to the stream. Okay, so claps for Restless Colors, please, for sharing the work. And yeah, if you don't have any more questions, we move on to the last person today. Okay, Jonah, I'm fine with that. Okay. Dun. You're welcome. Oh, claps. Let's go for Jonah. Hey Roman, welcome to the YouTube. Thanks for the follow. Thanks for the sub. Appreciate you. I wonder why I don't get a notification here. It's weird. Never mind then. Okay. Hey ho, I got my degree a few weeks back and now trying to become a character and prop concept artist in the game industry. I have some freelance work, so I shouldn't be super stressed about finding a job, but still I am. So I set myself a deadline at February. That's good because hiring season starts at January. A bit over 3 months. Also, I went to an art convention 2 weeks ago, got a lot of feedback, so I'm reworking a lot of stuff at the moment. Trying to focus on showing the early process iteration sketches more, which is good. And being less stiff. Okay, I'm interested in what I'm going to see. Last post has 3 WIP work in progress characters thrown together, which show more of my process. Thank you for the feedback. Okay. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. Zack. Okay. I focus on it here. So, Jonah from Hanover. Okay, sorry. Okay. That's kind of cool. So, Jonah, this stuff here is technically you don't need this here, right? So always think about like you apply somewhere where a lot of professionals work, so they know how this works. So you do not have to show them this. If you want to put it still in there, I think no one will not hire you because you show that. I've been told my characters often are pretty stiff, so I've been working on that. Of course, I still got some older stuff in my portfolio currently. Okay. I mean, yeah. Let me continue first before I start with it. This is good. This is production. This is what I mean, folks. Front, back, callouts, side. So kind of like explaining. I mean here, this with the color pattern. The thing is, if you do this good in a case where you say you choose the right value, right color, you technically don't need it because people understand it. But it's also not a problem when you have it in my opinion. Well, definitely you could have more sketches, to be honest. You could definitely have more sketches, also more design, I want to say, because this isn't too much in terms of design iteration, you know, like different type of styles, like bigger swords, wider swords in scale, different shapes, different type of here you have runes in there, but maybe a different type of decoration, like you did with the shields here, you know, but even more. So I feel like this could be more. Also, I feel your drawing skill is actually like your strong suit. So I think you're pretty good with drawing. And you know what? Your rendering skill isn't that good on this one, I want to say, because values are off in many cases. So you could just stick to a cell shaded look, and it would do you a favor, to be honest, because people would understand this without the shadows and everything. Because I feel like this kind of like pushes the quality and perception of it. I really like that you take the time to also do a layout and stuff for these characters. That's really cool. I really like the mount here. You say you know that's the same what I mean with the character before, kind of like this type of look where you don't render too much because you don't need it technically. It works without. This looks very production oriented, which is good. But again, I think what you definitely, if you want to do it, should work on is your rendering technique, especially your values and also your edge control, because you have a ton of soft edges in here. Yeah, you have tons of soft and firm edges in here, and also your value separation isn't too good, I need to say. So it's a bit tough to see, first of all, where the light comes from. You could have much more contrast in here. So especially in terms of like you using the scale values a bit more, you know, the values look a bit dull at some areas. And then, for example, the when you look at it just from here, the bright part on the curtain behind is kind of like taking attention away from the character. So I would actually try to darken this, because it's always a dark versus light. So, and it's not about the curtain, obviously, it's about the character, right? And then also in terms of material, when I see the shoulder pads, for example, it's way too thin. Like this looks like paper almost. So there are a lot of things where I think where you should use your line work, because your drawing skill is pretty good, Jonah. Same here. Don't render it. Don't render it. This here looks, in my opinion, better like this versus it's rendered, you know? So, and you don't need it. You can do simple cell shading, right? Take a multiply layer with one tone. You can kind of like do one, like they do in animation, you know? And then just simple one tone, go over it, add a bit of contrast here on the reflection stuff, and that's it. You don't need more, because you can, this here communicates everything already, Jonah. Okay? Because you use a bit too much reddish stuff in the face, so it looks like he has a bit of makeup on. Then like some stuff is a bit too yellowish. Materials are not properly rendered. It's basically, the problem is, Jonah, and that's important. I know you have freelance gigs, but obviously we always want to try to improve wherever we can, and we all do that. But important is that you also showcase what you're good at, and you not showcase what you're not as good right now. You know, you have knowledge there. I don't say you don't have any knowledge, but your materials are not well rendered enough to use it as an illustration. So, for example, the value range of the metal, or the comparison of the cloth compared to leather. Some areas are very dark and not very even. The cloth has some form shadows missing, even though it's around a round form, you know? There's a lot of small things in the rendering that's kind of like missing. This is cute, this is cool, I like that. But here again, for example, this material. So you definitely, Jonah, if you want to improve, just really do material studies when it comes to cloth, leather, anything, any this type of materials. Do specific call-out rendering studies only for you. You don't need to show this to anyone. And then really focus on it, take it out and really figure out, how can I render this? You know, you will see if you take an hour a day, and that's my general tip for you. If you take an hour a day, just focus time, it's your focus time where you try to improve your rendering skill. Do that every day. You know how you skyrocket. How you can skyrocket your skill over 30 days, because your drawing skill is really cool, really good. I like your lines. Looks very clean. You have line weight in it. Yeah, and you have to sell yourself, right? So, like a lot of productions moved over to cell shading just because it's more efficient, more faster. So it plays in your hands. You don't need to render, technically, right? So you can still practice it on the side. Here also, like this looks okay-ish. Here, for example, again, value range, value range, value range, value range, value range. Just take the rendering out. Here, same here. Yeah, I have to do material studies on this. I love the drawings again, Jonah. I love the drawings. I love the iterational part. I love it. Great. Don't render it. Don't render it until you can do it. Or just don't show it, you know? Or give yourself more time. Or, I don't mean, that sounds maybe now very how you say, very advertising, but come in a mentorship for 3 months and I'm going to overkill you with homework on rendering. I can teach you that in 3 months, but otherwise don't do it. Don't put it in, okay? This stuff I wouldn't do in the portfolio. Okay, I wouldn't put it in. Because it look a bit like student work and I feel like it should not belong into a professional portfolio. Also, it doesn't play in your cards again. This is cool. See, this is what I mean. Your drawing is good. You have design ideas. You can get jobs with this. This is probably why you have freelance jobs, Jonas. Hey, Jonah. This is probably the reason why. See, just this little bit of reflection indication, perfect. That's enough. And you have functional designs in here. Cool, I like it. We do more of this. You do production work, front, back view, costume design, flats, cool, cool. Really cool stuff, Jonah. But then again, when we come to material rendering, it's not your strong suit. Or at least a big room of improvement. See here, this works. But you have ideas. That's really important. Okay, cool. See here again, great example of this. Flats, good lines. They do a lot for you. And a lot of drawings. Yes, yes, yes. In here we could speak a bit about anatomy and perspective, but yeah. But in general, solid. Any more questions? Yeah, I mean, you can spend tons of time on rendering, to be honest. But you can also do it very quick, you know? Yeah. Alrighty. So, if no one else has anything anymore, then we are through with it. 2 hours and 12 minutes, and we went through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 9 people. That's great. Any other exercise besides materials you would recommend me? For example, I would kind of like cut it down. So for example, if you draw a figure, like draw a figure like you would make a character design, and then just focusing on rendering the character skin, you know, without clothing, without anything, just basically naked, rendering it to the illustrational style you try to achieve. And just focus here on the value structure. Like how much time you need to spend on just making the skin really look good. And then if you do it once or twice, you see it's actually not that tough and you can do it in very few strokes. Same for materials. Design your own materials and try to, how can I communicate the full value range of a thing very quick? Because for example, I mean, I could take a character, since no one else after used there, I can take a character of yours. I mean, we can take this one, this looks pretty cool. Let's go over to Photoshop. Put in here. Hard drawn brush, multiply layer 1 tone. Maybe first with the gradient tool from below. Maybe once or twice. Kind of like, oh no, I have to take the other one here, this one. It's better. Hey. So maybe once or twice from below. Opacity down to maybe 30%, 40%. Another multiply layer. Then hard round brush, soft brush to erasing. Just going in, go for the big cast shadows here. Stay with the one tone only. everything that has soft transitions, use the soft round brush. Anything that has maybe harder transitions, just keep it in as you blocked it in with the hard round brush. So for example, Claws has more like softer transitions, right? He blocks basically shadow on himself. Softer transitions because it's an arm. Blocking shadows on himself. Block, block, block. Light from the side. And then really focus on what you want to show. And then when you have stuff like material, and you already did it, just use a color dodge layer. Color dodge layer. Take basically the material that you try to push. And if it's gold here, it's gold. Just here a bit of. Just push the contrast, you know, like, because a lot of your renderings, they are not pushed in the full value range, you know, in the full scale. And you can do this with everything. On the edges, everywhere where light kind of like catches the element. You know, just adds more finesse to it. You can even do it here with skin tone technically, but what did he select it here? Wow, that's very white. No, that's not what I want. No, it doesn't work with the skin tone. Let's see how it works here with this. It's also too bright. Maybe I would kind of like reduce this down to 10% and just here everywhere where kind of like the edges where I feel like, okay, there's the light coming in. And that goes pretty quick, right? Also, yeah, and then, I mean, this is kind of like, again, your line work is pretty strong, so just focus here on the parts with metallic, so to speak, so we can kind of like separate them. But this can be either way very simplistic. Just adding also just a bit more of a highlight here. You know, just a bit more of this. This needs to be a bit brighter here. Sometimes you have to play also with this, obviously, because you don't nail what you want first try. But here, I would just add a little bit of it. Just see a bit of white. Just that from far away, I get the impression, okay, this is metal, and you know, very simple. So basically, what you try to do, Jonah, what I would say, don't. This is why I say don't stop with it. You have to find how can you communicate the behavior of the material in the most simplistic and efficient way, because as you know maybe already, when you work for someone on a time deadline, you have no time. Time's your biggest enemy. So what you need to do, you have to kind of like figure out, oh, how can I get shit done as soon as possible, right? But you can kind of like just push the presentation of your characters as long as maybe like even like 20%, even more, you know? I mean, it's cool. You have cool ideas. That's already half of the things. You got it. Sweet, great, love it. Severus, honestly, have been super useful. Didn't get any chance to put my folio this time. Yeah, I mean, if you want more of these, then yeah, just I don't know. Scream it in the comments under the video. I don't know. I notice it. I notice it. Probably I don't know. I can't do this every week because it's kind of like I don't know if we have enough people then. But you see, like I had almost 10 people and I talked 2 hours already, and we had like 10 minutes per person. You mentioned something earlier about this hiring season starting in January. Any advice for how to get prepared and make the most out of it? First of all, getting your work ready, and maybe also looking for the studios you want to work for and the positions, and then go to LinkedIn, look to who's working there, who's working in the HR department, recruiting department, get networking with them, start like, hey, do you have maybe possible open positions in January or February, anything I can apply on? Then they say, yeah, we have something. And you know, they worked on God of War 3 and then now they're going to work on God of War 7. You maybe do something in your portfolio which looks like God of War 7. That's something that I would definitely do. But I give you a kiss, you do it more. Thank you, Boris, you don't have to. I understand the gesture, but I decline. Yeah, I totally understand that it's not easy if you're on your own and you work on your own portfolio all the time and you don't really get a feedback. And I mean, I love to give you folks feedback. Yeah. It also is kind of like chill for me here because I don't need to draw as much as usually. And you know, when I draw paint and we do live stream, I kind of like quiet down and I don't talk anymore. So yeah. Okay then. So if you haven't done it yet, please give the stream a thumbs up. I really appreciate you all for coming. I hope this was useful, helpful. If you want more like these, just spam it in the comments. Sales pitch failed. What sales pitch? I also have one mentorship spot left. Only one at the moment. So if you want to join the program, do it as fast as possible. Use the link below. Come into the program. Usually December, January is pretty full. So there is no spots open normally. Yeah. And otherwise, I wish you all a wonderful weekend. And we will have, since next week comes a YouTube video, we will have the next stream in 2 weeks on the 24th of November. And for whatever reason, if we have a stream earlier, I will probably share it on my Instagram. So make sure to follow me there. Yeah, I agree, Jonah. I agree. Absolutely. All right, everyone. So thanks for joining. Thanks for submitting all your great work. Claps to all of you again. That also needs courage to obviously share something that is emotionally also important for you. And I hope that this video was helpful also for the people who are going to see this maybe later in the next few days. yeah, if you have more questions, put it in the comments under the video. I will always answer questions. Otherwise, come on the Discord. Hey HG, just joined the stream. I would love to see more feedback streams like this. They are great. Chance to do more often, not every week, but maybe a lot. Might be a lot of work for you. I mean, you technically, I could do them every week, but then I would have to have enough people who wants feedback. You know. So you know what we can do? If we can keep this system. So if you want a feedback, post it in the live chat with the same system as we have it today. Post it with option A or option B if you want a single one. And if I see there are enough feedbacks in the chat, I will do another stream. And then obviously you don't need to, you can't miss a stream. Okay? Yeah. Otherwise, thanks for joining. I wish you a wonderful evening, day, wherever you are. Take care. Happy drawing. And yeah, I hope to see you all on the next stream. Okay. Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.